Thanks for joining Sales with Suli, a mom of three who spent the last 12 summers knocking doors. Welcome to my podcast where I talk about all things women, the ups and downs of my journey, and what it takes to find success on and off the doors. Enjoy this episode. Hey, and welcome back, friends, to this week's episode of Sales with Suli. It's just going to be me today, and I'm kind of stoked. I've been having a lot of you women, and actually even some of you guys, reach out about some of the things that you guys are struggling with out there in this space. And a lot of you guys have asked me, how do I overcome fear? So I kind of want to get into that. And for me, it's a lot easier said than done being in the space now 14 years. I've definitely learned and have been able to manage some of the things and some of the struggles that maybe some of you guys are just currently going through. But I do want to talk about fear, like fear of getting out of the car, fear of rejection, fear of maybe transitioning from one company to another, fear of leaving one relationship for another, fear of failure. Like, who here isn't afraid of failing? Fear of just not being enough. And the biggest thing for me and the biggest shift of this concept of fear, it didn't happen until 10 years after I've already been doing door to door. And mind you, I would go out deathly afraid every single day if I was going to be good enough, if I was going to get the numbers that I wanted to, if I was going to be able to be where I wanted to be in door to door. And it wasn't until figuring out what truly is the important factor of my success in door to door, and that was me. I'm not sure, but there was something that I had read the other day that a good friend had posted, and she talked about the scenario of a water bottle. Okay, so you have this water bottle that you can essentially go get a 24 pack from Walmart for $2.99. Like, an individual water bottle itself is probably 50 cents or $1 at the dollar store. That same water bottle that you see, you can go and find it at the gas station for $3. That same water bottle, you can take it to a hotel and they just put another label on it. It's still the same water inside, and they'll charge you $5. That same water bottle you can take to a nice fancy restaurant or some type of resort, change the label, and that water bottle is now $7. What has changed? Nothing inside this bottle besides the label and what everyone else on the outside perceived what was going to be on the inside, or the taste of this water. And I liken that concept to us, especially for us women here in this space. We have a tendency to allow others to determine our price tag, to determine our self-worth, to determine who we are as natural human beings. And this was the biggest shift for me when I no longer allowed anyone or any door or any stat or anything to put a value on me, was when I started feeling like I was flourishing. And I've talked about this in several other of my episodes. When people look at Suli, they see confidence, they see flamboyance, they see that I just have it all put together. And what people didn't see over years, probably the first 5 or 6 years of my career in door to door, just how terrified I was, not just of the space, but of myself. I was definitely overweight and didn't like the way that I had looked, having issues with my marriage, being out on the doors so much and not being able to be home and help my husband. with kids, and then just like a lot of like family issues and trauma and drama. But I reference this again, people just continually see what's on the exterior, and things didn't like align and things didn't match up until a few years ago. And I've just seen how much that I've flourished personally because I stopped allowing a price tag to be put on my head. And I know a lot of you guys, like in this space, you guys will be sitting in one meeting and they're like, hey, well, I'm going to give you like this percentage. They take that same rep and that rep goes to another company, knows nothing about them, knows nothing about their experience. And it's like, hey, I'm going to offer you like this experience. But how often are we coming to the table and it's like, this is what I'm worth. This is what I've done. I know that I'm going to be able to bring this to the table. And once I have understood that concept and I put a value on myself as opposed to allowing others to put a price tag on me, the fear of everything and anything just subsided. I mean, I'm still nervous for sure, but a lot of things that actually evolved from the way that I looked at myself, from the value that I placed on myself, is what helped the fear to basically disappear. But self-worth, it's look it up. And one of my favorite definitions is it's a self-evaluative emotional reaction. It's a feeling of confidence in our abilities and our qualities. And being in the door-to-door space, like one thing that gets super tricky and one thing that we can control and I still struggle with is our reactions. Like, how are we reacting to our car partners? How are we reacting to the doors being slammed on our faces? Like, how are we reacting to the trainings? How are we reacting to our areas is going to play a big role on being able to dismantle this concept of fear that a lot of us have when we are just trying to open the hardest door of the day, which is going to be our car door. Having a sense of self-worth means that you value yourself. And having a sense of value means that you are worthy. But worthy to who? Being in a space where we are out there alone. Like, yes, we are with a team. Yes, we are attached to a company. But that's one of my fears. And that's one of the things that I am continually seeing in the door-to-door space on how easy it is for us as women to have attachments. I know that I found myself like guilty of this where I felt like so attached to like a company or to a group that I was like, I am not going to have any type of worth if I branch out on myself and go and do this. I am not going to have like this much value if I go from this team to another. Like, I am not going to have this much value on myself or in another space because I was just so drained or I just had so much instilled in my brain of how I need to be helping like follow other people's dreams. I just need to just fall in alignment with other companies and other people and other teams' attachments that I just started losing what I felt like I've began to find, which is the concept of self-worth. And so a lot of you guys ask me, like, how do I overcome the fear of rejection, the fear of getting doors slammed in my face, the fear of like memorizing and learning another pitch, the fear of leaving one industry to another. Had you asked me this 4 or 5 years ago, I would definitely just be like, I'm not sure. Just focus on the controllables, just put my head down and just go to work. But today, Suli, in this frame of mind and where I am at now, it has everything to do with you internally. Like, I know what I'm capable of. I know what I can bring to the table. I know that the product and the services that I am providing, I believe with every fiber in my body. And so I don't need to be afraid when I'm out there on the doors. I don't need to worry about one door closing on me because I am confident that I will find success. And again, we're all going to define success differently. But I want those of you out there who are anxious, who are nervous, to open the door, who are kind of like nervous about your huge goals, like set those huge goals. I talk a lot about being uncomfortable when we're out there on the doors. And so many of us, we don't want to be uncomfortable. But let's be real, being in the door-to-door space, that's exactly what it is. And I'm okay with being uncomfortable. 5 minutes of being uncomfortable and having my door approach on the door is a lot more worth it in the long run of the financial freedoms and all the self-worth freedoms that I'm going to be able to gain from being in this space. And so for those of you guys who are struggling with some of those fears out there in the door-to-door space, I would definitely suggest taking the time to figure out who you are, taking the time to figure out your value, your self-worth. And I want to just leave with 5 ways that I have been able to find and define self-worth in my current life. But 5 ways to build and have self-worth is 1, just stop the comparison. Stop thinking that you need to be like Susie Q, who's doing like 5 or 6 deals. Like, stop comparing yourself to that team who's like, hey, we need to be like traveling and doing all these different things. Like, once the comparison stops, you no longer have anyone telling you what kind of value that you need to put on yourself, because you're just not comparing yourself to anyone or anything. 2, do what feels good for you. If you feel like, hey, being in pest control is awesome, do it. If you feel like alarms is where you need to be, great. If you feel like internet is the space for you to like thrive, be there, be all in, and stop worrying about where the grass is going to be, or if it's greener on the other side, or my friends are over here doing this. I truly believe in the concept that the grass will be green wherever you decide to water it, whether it's solar, pest control, dish, alarms. Choose to be wherever you are and just look for the good. 3, make things happen. How many of you out there have so many car partners or teammates or just people around you who are just like negative Nancy's, who are just talking about like everything horrible throughout the day? Like, oh, this customer just yelled at me about this. Like, oh, I stayed up like way too late, so I'm just too exhausted to show up to the morning meetings. If you are in a circle or around a group of people who are just always finding excuses for everything in life, it's probably not the group of people that you need to be in. Like, you need to figure out a way to just make things happen. And I feel like that's been one of the biggest things for me, even transitioning to another space. Like, I am confident in my ability to just do what I got to do to be able to get to where I need to be. And if you guys adopt that same mentality of just what can I do to make things happen, as opposed to how can I address like this concern, or focusing on all the negative things that are happening, you're going to just continue to find yourself lacking. You're going to continue to find yourself in a scarcity mindset. You're going to continue to just find more reasons on why you are not worthy to be in the specific space that you are. Number 4, don't beat yourself up. How many of us will have like a 0 day, or get the doors like slammed in our faces, or maybe didn't quite attain the goals that we were trying to reach throughout the day? And so we just get like super upset. We get super emotional. And I know for me, I do a really amazing job at beating myself up. People on the doors do a good job on beating, solicitors up. Our people around us, they're really good at pointing out like the negative things that we may be doing. And so if you take a stance on you are going to be your own biggest cheerleader and you are going to allow grace, I still struggle with this where I allow grace in everyone else around me but myself. I will cheer on my teammates. I will cheer on my car partners. I will cheer on everyone around me, but I will continually look for what I'm individually doing wrong, like how I need to improve. And it's definitely held me back in tons of different aspects in my life. But I found that when I am talking about like how confident I am, like how amazing and kind and generous of a person that I am, I find that my attitudes and fears just dwindle a lot more because I'm not worried about what's going to be happening next because of me being able to accept who I am. And 5, only allow yourself to define you. Like nobody else on this planet, not your significant other, not your children, not your bosses, not your managers, not your company. Nobody else on this planet can define who you are. You have to do it yourself. If you want to be that water bottle and be worth 50 cents in comparison to the $7 that they would charge the same person for the same water at a hotel room, you're the one who's going to define that. And I know for myself that I am not worth 50 cents. I'm not going to allow anyone to come and put a label on me that's going to diminish on what I think about Suli. And so again, for those of you out there who are finding fear in the door-to-door space and any other aspect in your life, again, I'm just going to suggest just reevaluating what self-worth means to you and what the price tag is. Again, 5 ways to build and have self-worth is stop the comparison, do what makes you feel good, make things happen, don't beat yourself up, and only you can define the type of person that you are. So again, ladies, friends, you are strong, you're capable, you are definitely enough, and I see you. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for taking the time to tune in. If I've added any kind of value to your thoughts on knocking doors, please share this podcast with another female rep. Until next time, know that you are capable, you are valued, and most importantly, you are enough.